Hey everybody, it's Nathan and Jess Selove with another episode of You Might Be
Autistic?
If. For those of you that are new to the series, new to the channel, or whatnot, the way this works is we read a bunch of audience-submitted You Might Be Autistic If statements, and we react to them, we laugh at them, we have some fun with them, and hopefully y'all get a kick out of them.
Standard caveat, if you've met one autistic, you've met one autistic. These statements obviously don't reflect every person on the spectrum, but a lot of times there are at least some common sentiments or an interior logic.
And as always, if we mispronounce anybody's name, please feel free to phonetically tell us how it's supposed to sound in the comments, and then correct us. So picking off where we left off in the last You Might Be Autistic If video with more from Candy on a Chopstick. You might be autistic if your memory is really good but relies on routine patterns. For example, halfway through my freshman year of college, I realized that I didn't actually know my passcode to get into my dorm room. Instead of remembering the numbers, I had memorized the pattern of the way my fingers pushed the buttons. When distracted by something that threw me off autopilot mode, I couldn't get into my room. I had to wait an hour until I could try again without consciously thinking about the numbers. Then after that hour passed, I went and did the same pattern around 5 times in a row without stopping, so I was able to track what my numbers were. Now a year later, I don't know what my passcode number is, but I could probably get in if I went to the door and if the passcode was in the same number course. LOL.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened.
That is really funny.
It's what's really frustrating to me is I can't remember, like, if I try to think about basic things like breathing or something else simple like tying a knot or a bow. If I try to think about how to do it, I'll have a lot of difficulty. And it has to be something what I tend to do is distract myself with something else so that I'm not thinking about it. So I might like listen to something or try, looking at my phone while I'm going to enter in the passcode or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I got a friend of mine who's autistic who used to work in a hospital.
Oh, those are fun.
You know who I'm talking about.
Oh, yes.
Who actually had that same thing where he memorized the passcodes, and then one time a new person actually came up and asked him, "Hey, what's the passcode to get in here?" And he actually he panicked and didn't know because.
Okay, I do that with my name and age. I've had people ask me what my name is, and I'm not expecting it. If it's not something I've prepped, I'm going into a new environment, people are going to ask me my name. If I'm just out and about and someone asks me my name and it feels slightly off, I'll panic and I'll think, oh, I know this. And by the time I say it, I sound like a liar. I'm not lying about my name or my age, usually. Sometimes I'm wrong and I age myself up a year.
Yeah. All right, all of those were from Candy on a Chopstick, who signed their name Dylan. Thank you so much, Dylan. Those were all really great. It was really nice of you to take the time out of your day to put all those down. Really appreciate them. Those were really funny. Great job.
Azir Ras Celsus.
Hopefully we got that right.
We didn't get that right.
We definitely did not get that right.
I know. It's okay. You can correct me. You might be autistic if folks think you have an amazing sense of humor because you're always making jokes, but 90% of them are just vocalizing the initial literal way your brain interpreted something someone said, and the other 10% is dad puns. Yeah.
Oh, it's much higher than 10% of dad puns for me.
I had a friend who told me, "You're so funny. You should be like a comedian or something." And I said, "Oh, I don't really make that many jokes." And he said, "That's what's so funny. Just what comes out of your mouth is great." So,
she's a funny guy.
I am. Yeah, it's interesting how much people think unfiltered thoughts are really funny. You'd think that they would welcome people just talking in an unfiltered way.
That happened all the time on the speech team. For me, when I would talk about people, I would say something, and then people would think it was a joke, and everyone would laugh, and I'd just be like, "Oh, yeah, that was a joke. I'm funny." 2 from Kai. You might be autistic if you need hours of relaxing, alone time after going to the mall, store, or any other public place for more than an hour. We actually had this just yesterday.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Those are all places that are pretty crowded and busy, and you just need to take the time to
We had
relax.
We had issues with this yesterday.
We went to the grocery store.
And she was having trouble.
Well, okay, I was having trouble because I was looking for the smoked salmon, and instead of having one section that has all of the entertaining, like, charcuterie meats, they have 3 different sections. They've got, like, this is if you're fancy and can afford, like, a vacation house, and this is the section we keep that stuff in, and then this is our casual, entertaining section, and then this is what? I guess the slop you throw in your kid's lunchbox? It was outrageous, and I'm looking at you, Wegmans. Get your stuff together.
Jess, that was actually a joke because I was the one who was having...
Oh, I was having trouble.
You were having trouble, but I was the one who was like...
Are you going to cut out my Wegmans rant?
No, I'm not.
But I do like you, Wegmans. Okay.
And I'm not cutting this out either.
We're having a disagreement. Wegmans and I are disagreeing, but we'll make up one day.
You might be autistic if you start crying because too many different noises or voices are going off at the same time. Yeah, Yeah. Remember the coffee shop in New Orleans?
Oh, that was because we were on the parade route. Don't ever say
Nolans.
No one says it like that. Please cut that out.
Lots of people say it that way.
That was because we were on the parade route.
Oh yeah, it was during Mardi Gras. It was during Mardi Gras.
Or one of the
Yeah.
And we
Going
were at
to New Orleans.
We were at that
Mardi
one Cafe du Monde.
Yeah.
Is that right?
And
the teacher was getting beignets, and I went in there, and Nathan was behind me. And walking down there, we were single file, and I just had a grip on Nathan's sleeve, and I was tugging him. And
people talks to me, and I was just like.
We walked 16 blocks, got to that coffee shop, and felt it closing in, and Nathan said, I have to leave, and ran away across the street. And I went after him, and I said, I think we're going to go back to the hotel. So then we walked 15 blocks back, or whatever.
Yeah. Through Nolans.
But we stopped, and I got gumbo on the way back. This one is from Kaylee Lowe. You might be autistic if you are constantly confused as you play basketball. They just yell information, and I already struggle to process things, but there are constant transitions in between, and I can't anymore. I'm not a sportser.
Yeah, me neither.
I don't really understand what goes on in sports, and I don't really understand why it's entertaining for people. So I don't know if that's an autistic thing, but it's really hard to understand why they're just yelling things out and why it's so important someone move 2 or 3 feet.
Basketball was never my thing. I was a soccer player. I was a fencer. I never really got into basketball, though.
Dunking is fun. Like, actually just playing with the ball and that stuff is all fun. I just don't understand the made-up rules. They're very confusing.
All right, the next one is from our friend Blautistic Life. You might be autistic if you have more empathy for animals and inanimate objects than you do for humans.
I think that goes to what you talked about, like, sort of autistic theory of mind, that it's hard for autistics to feel empathy for some of the things that neurotypicals expect them to.
Yeah.
So I've experienced that a few times where I sound really callous, where I'll say, I don't understand why you're upset about this. This is so stupid.
Yeah.
And it's really mean, and it's not intended to be, but it's because I can't understand why you would be upset about something like that, but I can definitely understand why someone might be upset if their routine is changed or they can't find something that they use every day.
I used to have meltdowns when my the water bottle that I would use for soccer would break, and I'd have to get a new one because I got attached to it. In fact, one time I had just gotten this new water bottle and I really liked it. And then one guy on the team, because I said I really liked it, he kicked it and he broke it, and I had a meltdown, and it was terrible. I was pissed off.
You sweetie.
And then he lied to me about it for like 3 years, and he didn't tell me that he did that until like 3 years later. Yeah.
Oh no. What I'm hearing is that team sports are awful. This one is from She1T Clutch.
Shifty Clutch.
You might be autistic if you miss words and phrases in movies, so when you pop that DVD disc in, it's almost like watching the movie anew. Like, no matter how many times you've watched a film, you always learn something every time. Also, I tend to repeat sentences while watching and not even notice. Yeah, I think that might have something to do with the difficulty in focusing. I find in movies, especially certain types of movies, I really can't focus because of the stimuli. That's part of why I don't love most action movies, because it's all like oh man, I cannot do a Michael Bay film. It's all like and flashing and cutting, and I can't follow visually what's happening, and I can't follow by the sound. And so if I do have a movie that I like, I do watch it a lot, and I kind of say, oh, I didn't realize this, because I was always focused on something else going on, which I think is nice, because then you watch the show or movie over and over again. And I know that's an autistic trait, is watching
Michael Bay films. The year is 2040. Robot alien watermelons disguised as flying unicorns have colonized the moon and are getting ready to move on to Earth.
That appears to have been all of them.
Yes. Thank you so much to everybody who gave us suggestions. If you want to see another You Might Be Autistic If video, then leave some You Might Be Autistic Ifs down below so that we can react to them, laugh at them, and have some fun with them. We both hope that you have found some things that you might relate to, and we both hope that these videos give you a sense of community. Well, that's today's video. Thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a like, a share, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Check out some of my other stuff, and if you want to support the channel in other ways, support me on Patreon, and you will see me in the next one.